Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reacting to my second Mr. Haunted video for you guys, and this was titled 3 True Scary Mailman Horror Stories. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road in the bag, shall we? Okay, everybody, here we go.
In 2011, I worked as a mailman in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
I hated being a mailman for the most part. Driving around to neighborhood after neighborhood and putting people's mail in their mailboxes was honestly a huge pain, and it doesn't help that my shifts were about 6 hours a day. But I couldn't really complain, as getting a job in my area was pretty difficult.
You know, to be honest with you, if I wasn't too timid or shy feeling at working at other businesses instead of doing this, I wouldn't mind working as a mailman, but I would rather work in the mail room because I don't like drive to different places just to drop off mail because I might end up getting my mail mixed up. And I've seen other mail carriers keep going back and forth because they don't have their mail in the right order. So if I worked in the postal service, I would not be delivering mail, that's for sure.
However, the part that really made me feel uneasy about this job was because of a certain house that I had to deliver to once a week. Every time I would deliver to this house, there would always be the same guy watching me while sitting in his yard chair on his porch. His name was Gerald, and I know that because it had his name on the packages I delivered to him. He would stare at me with his eyes open really wide with a blank expression, and it was kind of like he was staring through your soul. Of course, I was creeped out by this, but I never went out of my way to talk to him or make any sort of conversation with him.
I'll be creeped out too. I'll just drop the mail in the mailbox and go. I'd be definitely scared to death if I had to deliver packages up to this guy. But yeah, if he don't down from his porch and walk up to you while you're dropping off mail, that's always fine and dandy.
One day, during the month of August, the neighborhood with Gerald was one of the neighborhoods on my route. That day, at around 4 in the afternoon, I pulled into Gerald's neighborhood to deliver the mail. However, once I pulled up to Gerald's mailbox, the lid wasn't there. Inside the mailbox was a folded up piece of paper. I took it out and it read, "Hi there. I regret to inform you that the mailbox is unfortunately broken. Please go inside and leave the mail on the kitchen table." I was very suspicious as not only was the letter sketchy, but I also didn't see Gerald in his chair. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't as our policy says that we must deliver the mail to the person no matter what. So I cautiously got out of the mail van and got Gerald's mail and walked over to his front door. There was no doorbell, so I knocked. Just then, someone said on the other side to come in. Alarms immediately started going off in my head, and I had the sudden urge to turn back and drive away, but I didn't want to risk getting in trouble or losing my job.
Yeah, what can you do? You can't just slide it underneath the door and go without making that guy mad. But if he had a doggy door, I would just throw it right through there. Leave because red flags would be going off on my head if the mail box was broken by his sign he put on it. But then when you get up there, he asks you to come in. No, just drop the mail through the door and say, that's okay. I'm just going to slide it through the door. I got a lot of more mail to deliver today. And then get out of there.
I opened the door and was greeted to a foul smell coming from somewhere in the house. I was calling out Gerald's name, but there was no response. All the lights on in the house were dark and all of the windows had blinds. However, I looked down the hall and saw a light on in the room. I figured that it must have been the kitchen, so I walked down the hall and turned to the kitchen. There was a table with 4 chairs around it, and in each of the chairs were 4 men with masks on, one of them being Gerald. I stood there for a few seconds before I ran out the kitchen and to the front door, but there was another person blocking the door. He was holding a large knife. I stood there frozen and I didn't know what to do, but just stay there. The other people then came out from the kitchen, and one of the men was holding what looked like a briefcase. He held it out to me and told me to open it. The same exact smell from earlier hit me in the face stronger than ever. It smelled like death or maybe rotting flesh. I was now sure that they were going to kill me if I didn't open it, and I prepared to see what contents laid inside that briefcase. But before I was going to open it, I puked and pushed the thing away from me, and I decided I had enough of this. The guy who was blocking the door for whatever reason stepped away, and I stood up and swung open the door and ran back to my vehicle, not looking back. I drove out of that neighborhood and I quit my job the next day. No more delivering mail for me. Till this day, I still have no idea as to what their intentions were, and I still don't know what contents were inside that briefcase.
Oh man, if you smelled a foul odor smell in that briefcase, they probably killed somebody and they're trying to give you a warning that if you don't cooperate, that's going to happen to you, basically. I don't blame him for quitting that job because if I had to keep delivering mail to that guy's house, I wouldn't tolerate it. But I figured that if he put a sign on his mailbox said the mailbox is broken, come to the house to deliver mail, it was a trap. That guy, Gerald, and somebody else was setting up just to grab him for something. But man, I still would have told the boss at the post office what happened. They can call the cops and tell them to get over there to search the place. And if there's people still there, arrest them. Because that is just sick that people like that would set up some sort of scare tactic for a mail person. But I'm glad he did the right thing and was able to bolt out the front door when the big guy was blocking it no more. But anyway, let's get to story number 2.
My name is Emily, and I was around 16 years old when this happened, not only to me, but my friends as well. I've always been the type of girl who would always be out and about with friends. Almost every week, I would be doing something with friends no matter what. Whether it would be going to the mall, going to the movies, or going out to eat, I would never be by myself whatsoever. One day, I had two of my friends over at my house who we'll call Melissa and Jamie. Melissa was around my age, and Jamie was much older, like 18 or 19. I can't really remember her exact age as this was a while ago. Anyway, on the day they came over, I believe it was a Friday, we really had nothing to do. We couldn't go anywhere as we had no ride, and Jamie did have a car but had no license. With nothing to do, we decided to head over to an ice cream shop that was just located a few blocks away, and we didn't mind the walk. The walk was about 20 minutes, give or take. So we get to the ice cream shop and get our ice cream and sit down at a nearby table. As we were eating our ice cream while talking, I see a mail truck parked beside the sidewalk about 20 to 30 feet away from us. Looking back, I really thought nothing of it and continued to eat. But Melissa said something that perked up my ears. Why in the world is the mailman staring at us? I looked to the driver's side of the mail truck to see a man I'd see in his mid-30s staring at us with his eyes open wider than anyone possibly could.
Okay, I'll be creeped out at this point. You're just trying to enjoy a nice day with friends eating ice cream, and then somebody has to stare at you in the mail truck. I'll be going inside to tell the ice cream store owner to look outside and confront that mailman to stop staring at us because that's just really creepy.
I have to be honest, he looked kind of creepy with the face he had on. I still can't really describe the face he made, but picture a man with his eyes open wide in an angry slash sad expression. We just thought that it was some guy just trying to scare us or just doing it for fun. We finished up our ice cream and walked back down the street to my house. All the while, the three of us were talking about why he was giving us a face like that and laughing about it. At some point during the walk, the three of us were quiet for a few minutes, texting on our phones and whatnot, when we all hear the sound of a vehicle approaching from behind us. We turned around to see the exact same mail truck following us. However, the driver was now in somewhat of a cheerful mood. He pulled up next to us and said, "Hey girls, do you live around here? I could give you a ride if you want." We didn't respond to him and just kept walking. He then said the same thing again, but this time a bit louder, but we still ignored him. Just then, we immediately saw another car coming, and the mail truck immediately sped down the road. Jamie recommended that we should hurry up and that something wasn't right. Within 5 minutes, we all made it back to my house and spent the rest of the day there. About a week or so went by, and I already got past the incident with the mailman until a few days later. One day, I was eating breakfast at the kitchen table while my mom was watching the local news. I really paid no attention to it, as I really don't care for the news. However, at one point, I turned to the TV and heard something on the news that nearly made me pass out. There was a story about a guy who stole a mail truck and pretended to be a mailman. They showed a picture of the man, and I couldn't believe it. It was the exact same man who we encountered the other day. He acted like he was the mailman and to lure children and teens, just like me, to try to kidnap them. Unfortunately, they said something that I still sometimes cry about till this day. He had gotten a hold of a 7-year-old girl, and she was missing for days. They eventually found the girl, dead. Her body was dumped into a wooded area about 10 miles from where I lived. I still feel bad and horrible for that little girl. This is to the mailman who tried to lure us in and killed that innocent young girl. I hope you get what you deserve and rot in hell, you sick, twisted demon.
You got that right, because that is just horrible. That someone would kidnap a mail truck just to lure in teens and young kids and kidnap them. But then he killed a 7-year-old girl and dumped her body in the woods. I hope he does burn in hell when he goes from this place. And I hope the police find him and get the mail truck back. Those girls were that close into being victims too, just like that girl. May that little 7-year-old girl that she mentioned rest in peace. And I hope and pray that guy gets caught and spends life in prison until he meets our maker for what he's done, and then gets burned with fire and brimstone.
When I was around 16 years old, something very strange and creepy happened when I got a package from the mailman one day. My name is Joseph, and I've always been the type of kid who people would call a nerd, as I'm obsessed with video games and a huge anime freak. Anyway, on December 12th, my birthday finally came, and my parents had bought me a very nice computer for my room. You could imagine how happy I was. I would play games on it and pretty much enjoy myself. Anyway, I wanted to buy a certain Star Wars game for my computer, as I didn't have it and nor did any of the other store games in my town. Since they weren't in any stores in my area, I looked on eBay, and fortunately for me, there was one game left for the price of $5, and so I bought it almost immediately. $5 seemed too good to be true, but it was a very old game, so I figured that was the reason why it was so cheap. Days went by, and my package still hadn't come yet, and I was getting a bit impatient, but still kept my cool. About a week or so later, I was outside my front yard washing my parents' car when I saw the mail truck pull up in front of our mailbox, and the mailman started to put things in. He then left within a minute, and I excitedly pulled out the mail and found my package with my name on it. I finished washing the car after that and took the mail inside and popped the game into my PC and started playing. About 10 minutes went by, and my mom came into my room and showed me something that I wasn't expecting. She had a white envelope in her hand, and she said that I forgot to take this when I brought the mail in. I took it from her, and all it said on the envelope was my name, written in big bold letters. I was confused as I didn't order anything else, but I just figured that it was a late birthday present from a family member, as my birthday wasn't too long ago. I opened it, and there was a note inside. It read, "From Stephen Garcia." Just to be clear, Stephen Garcia is the name of the mailman who delivers the mail to my house. I really didn't know what to think, so I put the note down but noticed something else in the envelope. It was a small little bag with something inside it. When I saw what it was, I was a bit confused. I still have no idea what it was, but it looked like some sort of light green powder. Out of curiosity, I emptied the contents into my hand and started looking at it, trying to figure out what it was. I decided that it was probably nothing and immediately put it back into the bag. Almost immediately, my hand started to turn bright red, and I mean bright red, and on top of that, the skin on my hand began to get itchy, but every time I scratched it, my skin would peel off.
Oh my goodness, somebody mailed him a burning chemical substance. Wash that stuff off quick. just to make sure it don't go down deep in the pores.
I went to my mom freaking out, and so did she. This wasn't normal at all, and so my mom took me to the hospital and we explained it. They, thank God, made it go away. However, the doctors still have no idea as to what chemical or substance it was. Stephen, our mailman, stopped coming and got a new mailman. There is something till this day that gives me chills, though. The doctor said that it was a good thing that we immediately went to the hospital because if we hadn't, chances are that I would have been dead, as whatever that substance was extremely toxic. I'm just glad I'm okay.
You mean to tell me the former mailman of theirs did that? Why? That's really messed up. If he quit, I would have been going to the post office just to ask him where he went to and get the police involved just to see why he wanted to do that. Did he hate nerdy type kids? I mean, I don't know what. But thank God they rushed to the hospital and they were able to treat it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more Mr. Haunted content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Court channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and that's a wrap. And have a nice day, y'all.